very windy area, so hopefully you can hear me okay and you can hear the water going. So hopefully you've seen the first video that says start now. If you haven't, are you going to? Come on, I want to know. So pop it in the comments. I want that commitment. Oh my god, my cat's climbing again. I want the commitment, and that's not about me. What you do is what you do, but by putting it out there and saying, yes, I'm going to do this, you're putting out that affirmation, you're putting out that declaration, you're going to do something. We can see Simba just there in the corner. He can climb, but he can't jump, so he's safe, but it's, he's going into my secret fern garden and looking cheeky while he's at it. So what am I talking about today? I want you to understand your environment, okay? What is the climate like? What's the weather like where you live? So, and it's just the same with any form of gardening. You need to know what things are for where you live. I mean, I'm very blessed. I've never lived in a snow area, an area with snow. The thought of that just makes me shiver at the thought. So I don't like the cold, which growing up in Melbourne really wasn't a good thing. But compared to, say, Berlin, Melbourne's nothing, okay? But I understand Melbourne's weather. I grew up there for a very long time. I understand different states where I've lived and the locations where I've lived. And even though I was always so excited to get a veggie garden happening, and yes, I love my baseball cap. It's, I've even forgotten what it says now. I think it's a Habitat for Fishes, or Fishes for Habitat, or something like that. One of the conferences that I got sponsored to go to. It's my favourite cap. I can't help it. Sorry, you're gonna have to get used to that one. A few quirks: my baseball cap and my flannelette shirts. They're two of them. Yeah, it's so important to know your environment. Now, when I first moved up here, I'd never lived in Queensland, but I had visited Queensland a lot of times and did a lot of camping, and I didn't realise how different it was to, say, the Central Coast, New South Wales, or even Canberra or Melbourne. And I didn't get the humidity. I didn't get that, you know, for several months of the year it's like, oh my god, I can't go out there, it's so hot. And the hot, it's because it's of the humidity as opposed to it being burning out hot. I didn't realise that. I didn't realise anything, so I set up this little raised garden bed and it totally tanked. Okay, and they're not words that I like using an awful lot, totally tanked, but it did. And I rushed into that. That was the first thing when I couldn't quite work out what was going on. I was getting mildew on my pumpkins, which I'd never had before. I never had in any other state. And I know what it is, it's cloudy mildew, but why am I getting it? Humidity, okay? So for me, that was the learning curve for where I was. I hadn't built the aquaponics system up here at that time. Now, I know this yard. I've been here for a while now, and I've tried growing different things because I've had access to an aquaponics system elsewhere that I helped build, so I've been having my fresh veggies, which is awesome, and I've got my wicker beds everywhere these days, which is even better. But I went, well, I'm changing my diet again, and very windy today, which is great because it's not quite so humid and hot. And I really want to not have to go to that other place to get my veggies, okay? I just want to be able to walk out in the backyard and go, oh yum, some peas. Snap, crack, eat, done. Okay, and you know, that corner, we'll just move the camera over, this corner is an area, it's a bit tricky. The sun rises up over there. The fish tanks don't get any sunlight in the morning, which is a good thing, but they get a heap of sunlight in the afternoon, late afternoon. The grow bed, on the other hand, even though it's all cloudy at the moment, gets full sunlight for most of the day, okay? So I wasn't able to grow anything on the ground in this area. It's been bugging the hell out of me. So I thought raised garden beds, like all of these different ideas, and I even tried some. And the other thing is the ground here, and you can't tell because I've done a bit of work, and I'm not going to put the camera down, but underneath, it's just shale, okay? You can't dig down. Seriously, I've had professionals out here trying to dig holes to do things, and they can't get through the shale. I've had to pull out the pick to try to get through it. So when they built on this property, it was shale everywhere, same as the rest of the estate. And then they laid down that pre-made lawn, and that was it. Of course, when it died, there was nothing underneath it. There was nothing for the roots to hold on to neighbours, they just have weeds everywhere. So even though I put soil down, the roots could only go a certain distance, which was, 1 to 2 inches, before they go, and everything would die. Okay, so we've got this beautiful bush, which has taken a very long time for it to grow, and even then, all of the roots are right up the top. They're not nice, deep roots. Okay, that's a problem. So this area is a terrible area for me to have a veggie garden. I know this area. I've been living here for a while. I know where the sun is. I know that when we get a strong wind coming across that fence, there's lots of holes there, and things will rock. Okay, so I've got to keep all of that in mind when I've decided I'm going to build the aquaponics system. So you can see I've got a frame up here, so that's getting ready for in winter time. I can put hothouse material up because it gets quite cold and I don't want the fish to die of cold. I'm actually going to put some shade cloth across the top just where the tanks are, because I know that from that direction it's going to get an awful lot of sun in the afternoon, and it's starting already. Okay, so while there's no fish in there, I'll pop that up and it's easy to do. The whole point is I've prepared the frame before I built the system, because I know what's going to happen with the environment. Now I've got my setup so it doesn't matter if I get a heap of rain. It's not going to overflow. It's not going to flood out, not going to do anything like that. But I know the area. So whenever you're planning to build an aquaponics system, know your area. You need sunlight. Okay? You need to be able to have access to water. You need to be able to have access to electricity. And if you wanted to go off-grid and not use the electricity, then you need to make sure that, well, then you've definitely got the solar. You've got the sun so that you can set up a solar system. Okay, which is very, very easy to do. People go, oh my God, I can't do it off-grid. Or, I don't know how. It's actually really simple. You just need to understand a couple of key things. That's the thing, some basic fundamentals, and you're sweet. Okay, that you've got, the rest of it's all your imagination. So, understand your environment. It gets really hot here, it gets really humid here, but it doesn't get really freezing cold like Melbourne. So, while I'm putting a hothouse up, compared to Melbourne, it's still really hot up here in winter. I mean, it's still, barely will get below 10 degrees Celsius, which Melbourne, much colder, okay? But as the fish are used to a higher temperature, and I'm using silver perch, which are very versatile, I need to make sure that just in case in that winter period, which is very short, I've got that ready to go. So this frame is being built so that I can adjust it for whatever's needed. So I can leave it with nothing on it for most of the year. When it gets too hot, I can add the shade cloth. If it starts to get cold and it's getting that time of year, pop the hothouse material on top, take it down again. But it also helps to protect from everything, really, but just make sure that the bees can still get in there, otherwise you have to hand pollinate. The key thing is understand and know your environment. This is the perfect spot for an aquaponics system in my entire yard. In every area, front, back, side, this is the perfect spot because I can't grow anything else, but it gets a heap of sunlight for the veggies, what they need, and the fish predominantly will be in the shade. Okay, so understand your environment and you're halfway there. You can cater for it, you can get ready, and don't do it at the last minute. That's the only other point I want to make, is have your preparation done before you even start building your system. One, you also know how much space you've got, so make sure you do your good measuring. But two, it would have been a lot more difficult for me to build that frame after that system's in place. That fish tank at the back, the one with the silver on it, that's 500 litres, so that's 550 odd kilo, give or take, with the plumbing and everything on top. I can't move that now. So it's all ready, it's all established, and all I need to do is attach for whatever, based on the requirements of the season. Plan. Prevent. I see so many people in groups who say, oh my God, it's winter, my fish are dying, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? It's kind of a bit late by then. If your fish are dying, it's too late. I mean, you can go into emergency mode, but they haven't planned, they haven't prepared, they don't have any idea of what they're going to do. In Australia, we have this motto, be prepared for a fire. And we get lots of bushfires here in different locations, all around the country. And have a safety plan, have a fire safety plan in place. Know what you're going to do and plan ahead of time. So what are you going to take? What are you going to do? Are you going to stay and fight the fire, or are you going to leave? And have your kids. That was kits with a T, not kids. Obviously take a kit, yes, but have a kit. So that means the clothing that is not going to burn. That means having your fire extinguishers. That means having the right hoses. That means having your water source to fight fire. That means having, you know, if you're planning to stay, have that ready to go so that you don't have to make a decision in panic. Okay, so that's very well known in Australia. I'm not sure about other countries, but that's huge here. It's the same with anything in life, including your aquaponics system. Be prepared for all of the possible eventualities and plan for it. So when it happens, you don't have to stress about it. You go, oh, okay, this is happening. Okay, here is my flow chart, or here are my points of what I'm going to do. Okay, so that comes down to knowing your environment. Okay, know your environment and know what you're going to do in different situations. If it gets too hot, shade cloth. If it gets too cold, the hothouse material. All the rest of the time, nothing. I don't need anything else. Everything's sweet. Okay, power goes out, I have a backup system. I know what to do. Everything's either automatic, I either set things up automatic, I have my flow charts, I'm very visual, so I like to be able to see it, and I have the step-by-step guide just in case my anxiety is a little bit high and I'm a little bit panicked and I can't look at one, I'll be able to see and understand the other. And it's as simple as, it really is as simple as that. Plan, prepare, and know what you're going to do. And know your area.